Hello, hello, friends. We are going to get started. Thank you so much for joining us today so that we can take a look at the Neo experience and how we show up not only for our customers, but for our realtor partners as well. If you've never been part of having sort of the conversation about the Neo experience, you may not know exactly what that means. And so we're going to be going over that today. If you have any questions during this training, by all means, type those into that little chat and we will get to those just as soon as we can. So, what does it mean to work with Neo? What is Neo's understanding of what a customer for life truly is? We do understand as salespeople, as loan officers, that we have moved from a transactional model directly into a relational model. Now, I will tell you, I never lived in a transaction world. I have spent the better part of the last decade convincing loan officers that transaction-based lending is not the future. In fact, I was having a very long conversation today with Megan just about that, about how when you work for a broker shop that just does refis, when there's no refis to do, you're stuck because that's a transactional model. And what we do at Neo that's very different is we consider this conversation, not this person. We consider this conversation to be the first of many, many, many that we are going to have with them in the coming years. We don't necessarily need someone after the conversation to take action. We don't need them to do a loan. It would be great if they could, but we don't think about it in that way. We consider it our responsibility to really proactively manage the future transactions that could happen with this homeowner, right? We know right now when rates are flirting with 9%, we understand that we're not even selling this deal, we're selling a deal and then a refi. But what if we, instead of looking at it that way, looked at it as the impact that constantly happens when we show up for people, when we're proactively looking for different opportunities to support them, ways to grow their equity, and making sure that we position ourselves more as mortgage planners. A loan officer versus a mortgage planner, those are two separate things. Somebody who does loans is a transactional person. Someone who's a mortgage planner is thought of as a financial planner. And that's the way that we have to kind of position ourselves, especially in this current market, right? You want to be a professional from whom other people want to have ongoing conversations using their equity as a strategy for their future success. So if you think about the most ideal customer experience, right? It's going to be a combination of everything that you see on the right-hand side. How are we collecting data? And by that, I truly mean, how is a person entering into our CRM and what do we know about that person? How are we proving the value of that financial consulting? How are we showing them what it is that we're going to do that's going to be so different? Because if it's not in that initial conversation and you're just talking rates, that's not the way to do business, right? And then telling them like our goal of building that future strategy for whatever their big dreams are in life. If they've got kids going away for college and they want to use equity for that, if they have things and that, or if they're buying investment properties, any ways in which they can leverage that equity to become really successful in the future. And then creating passive income, that same thing with those homes that they could buy, Airbnb, just being a homeowner many, many, many times over. And then advocating and speaking to our mission. And our mission is very clear in the Neo experience. It means that we are here for the rest of your life to provide value. And we do that by making sure that the customer feels heard and understood. What does that actually mean? It's not just a soundbite, guys. It is really why the Dreams, Hopes and Dreams Call exists. And it's also why we have so much personalized marketing inside of Matrix, right? If you are talking to someone and they come to you and they say, hey, listen, I got referred over to you. My husband and I are going through a divorce right now. And they say, you say, oh gosh, that's terrible. Like, here's how I'm going to help you. And then you put them on the divorce campaign. You literally are reflecting in your marketing exactly the promise that you made to them, which is that you heard them, that they're not just a number, and that you're creating a relationship based upon the needs of that person. And then you only want to serve the best interest of that customer. And sometimes that is saying no. Sometimes that's looking at their financial picture and saying, you know what, right now is not the time for you. Buying this house could make you home poor, house poor, so being able to really ascertain whether or not it's advantageous for them to become a customer of Neo. And then understanding their future goals, right? Like I mentioned before, if their future goals are to buy 6 investment properties by 2025, then that you can lay out strategies, you can lay out mortgage coach TCAs. They're going to be able to show them how they can build to those future goals. And then when you're structuring the loan to provide real value through that coaching, right? That's where that mortgage coach comes into play so much. Hey, here are the options that you have. Let me show you and lay those out for you. Then if you can close the loan with that customer retainment and long-term data monitoring that we are absolutely promising when we're talking about the Neo experience, you're going to be able to have these touch points and these elements by which you can have conversations that are triggered by the system, that you can reach out and say, hey, I know this to be an equity strategy. I know this to be something that will work for your goals for the future. If you can align the customer with kind of a dream team of other professionals who are going to support their future financial objectives. And what does that mean? I hope that you've taken the opportunity to create a wonderful list of your vendor partners. You should never be asked a question by one of your home buyers that you don't have an answer to. So if they say, gosh, any good interior designers in the area? You're like, I certainly do. Here it is. But that's especially important when it comes to people like attorneys, financial planners, CPAs, anyone who is truly a good resource for them so that they can not only have a strong financial future, but it's one that you are leading. And then give valuable messaging to them about how to grow their wealth, right? And how to grow their equity. So much mortgage marketing is just awful because, HomeBot's great. Here's where your equity is based on AVM. But is that it? There are so many ways to add value to their home, so many ways that you can talk to them about living in their home and keeping them focused on those financial goals. And if that is always, 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 hey, rates are high, but do business with me, #chicken recipes, that's not really the way to create and maintain that relationship long term. And then having all of the assets in one place where the customer can always work with their financial sphere is so important. We have that in FinLocker, which we call the Neo Experience app. And we also have it in a variety of places like HomeBinder and different spots. So I just want to make sure that you are very aware of all of the tools that are inside of Matrix that support this Neo experience. Our goal is pretty simple. We promise to communicate at a concierge level of service. Everything that we do on your behalf has been tested, it is compliant, and it is an actual valuable strategy for creating those relationships. Each strategy should yield 5 or 6 transactions in the next 10 to 20 years. We want to make sure that you have the highest level of marketing. If you find a company who has better marketing than you do, by all means, forward me that email, forward me that strategy, because I haven't seen it and I would love to see somebody doing it at the level that we're doing it at. We want to make sure that they have the things that they need. And then we want to make sure that when we're able to push data opportunities, you are going to have everything that you need in order to be the best resource for not only your referral partners, but for everyone moving forward. That's a really complicated thing to do. I'm not here to say that it is not. Right now, we are totally integrated with SimpleNexus, but that integration is going to keep getting stronger and better. Right now, we know what's going on inside SimpleNexus. We're reminding people when they stop in the middle of an application that they need to reapply, that they need to ask you any questions that they have. Obviously, we have Encompass, and as Encompass gets stronger at Neo /Luminate, we will have so many more fields by which to draw data, and that's an awesome path to be on. I totally hear you loud and clear that ADM can definitely cause you to feel like a drinking problem might be the answer. But ADM does get stronger and stronger. Homebinder, we're so future casting what is going to be in the future of Homebinder. Um, right now, it's a resource where people can take care of their homes and find their loan documents, but there's so much more to it than that, right? It's combination with FinLocker to be able to have all that data in the app, to be able to know when and where and how to take care of their home. All of those things are incredibly important. Updater, giving them all of the information that a person needs once they go under contract to be able to successfully move into their house, to be able to make sure that all their utilities are on, that everything that they need to have done is done. Making sure that they have HomeBot so they can get that monthly equity report, making sure that at the end of the transaction, we're sending out the experience.com so you can get feedback on every single transaction. And with Automator, making sure that you have an absolute content management strategy for any human being that you encounter. When we talk about lead to loan, which is why we're here today, there are so many touch points that actually have to happen to have really successful lead ingestion. One is, did you put them on the lead campaign or did you get in touch with them? Those are the decisions you get to make right as you get that referral, right as you get that lead. So, how am I going to introduce this lead to my environment? Well, right now, likely what you're doing is getting an email or a text or a phone call from one of your realtors. And this is just like, here's hoping, because I know it's really tough out there right now. But once you have that introduction, what happens next? You either get them on the phone and schedule that hopes and dreams call, dreams and goals call, or you can, get them on the phone and have a small conversation and then plan out when you're going to have that dreams and goals call. Either way, you need to introduce this lead to the system to let the system do what it does best, which is introduce all these various pieces of technology in the strongest way it can. And then you're going to have that connection, right? So now you're sending them emails, you're sending them to pre-written text, you're having these conversations where they're writing back to you, where they're asking you these open-ended questions, and you are doing the most important thing you can do, which is listening and learning about this person. At this point, you should be absolutely connecting with them in social media, checking out their social media pages to see how, when you have that dreams and goals call, you're going to be the most prepared, right? So if you are going in blindly to the dreams and goals call, what is the point of anything, really? You should be able to say, hey, I saw on Facebook that this guy works at this company. His wife works at this company. They have 2 kids. Looks like they go to daycare. So he probably has X amount that he has to pay for daycare. They live in this part of the town. I'm familiar with this part. I know from the realtor that they're looking for this part. Now you have a warm call. And if you're not using all those tools, you have them all at your disposal. That is 100% why you should be working inside the CRM and putting those notes in there so that you're ready for that dreams and goals call. And so you can make sure that you know the exact next task that it's going to take to get this lead from lead right over into a loan. You want to make sure that their introduction to the technology is at the correct time. And depending on what campaign and depending on what their journey is going to be, it'll depend on where we're going to introduce them to the various technology that's going to work best for them. Once they go under contract, that's where Updater is going to kick off. That's where hopefully you've already shown them the Neo Experience app. They're already involved in that environment. We're showing them mortgage coaches so they understand like all of their options. That's where this really comes into play. And then, of course, as they're going through the in-process workflow, which is every bit of the communication from contract until 2 or 3 weeks post-close, they're going to have this very clear understanding of what's going to happen next, because your job is to make sure that that concierge level of communication, as well as that like level of coaching exists, right? Because we want our customers to understand what's going on, but you don't have the time typically to walk them through every nuance of that. Now, do you have time now? Sure, you do, but I'd much rather you were prospecting for the next 3 loans than spending your time breaking down all the technology into the various pieces. Once that loan is going to close, that customer success manager is working within the same system that you are. So when they reach out for post close, your customer will have already received the experience.com link so they can give you good feedback. That CSM is going to double down and make sure that everything went really, really well with the transaction. They're going to plan to call them at the 3, 6, and 9, 12-month marks to check in, to get other referrals. But they're always going to be making sure that your promise of a concierge level service is being upheld. And then the customer enters into our follow-up strategy and our data equity strategies, where you're teaching them how they are going to be able to manage their home through HomeBinder, how they're going to be able to build equity into their home through all kinds of different strategies, sending them that monthly HomeBot report, which is great. Then we're going to be reaching out, and the CSMs will check in with them when they're supposed to, but we are supposed to offer you the opportunities based on this close loan or this lead if they didn't close a loan with you. Now, once we push sales boomerang in and once we start these massive journeys being built out, the thing that will really, really, really come into play is you should be using your CRM as a basic loan opportunity machine. We'll call it an LOM. Okay. I want you to feel like you get to go and press a button and a loan falls out. There are going to be loan opportunities like crazy. It doesn't feel like that now, but how can it feel like that when when it's been 30 years since we've seen rates like this? And so we totally understand that it's hard to imagine a world in which you have too much business, but you should absolutely prepare for that to be the biggest problem that you have once rates drop. And then make sure that you're using your sphere to create relationships with this person, and then showing them how they're going to be able to look for you to reach out just the second that rates are going to drop so that they can either refinance into a better interest rate, or they can drop PMI or whatever that is. Or maybe you're offering ways that they can look for passive income opportunities in becoming an owner of multiple properties. The Neo experience is on your website. Now, is it perfectly explained? I don't think we perfectly explain it ever. I've never seen somebody perfectly explain it, but you certainly have all of the things on this page that you would need in order to give them a really great experience. If they click on current homeowners, they're going to put their name, email address, phone number, put a little note to you. That's going to immediately drive into the CRM, and we're going to put that human being on the Neo Experience campaign for current homeowners. Why is that important? Well, one, anybody getting into your database is so imperative. Two, any ways that we can engage them on multiple platforms, incredibly imperative. Three, us being able to market to them, to have a phone call with you, to not discuss how they're going to move now, but what their strategy is for moving or for doing something as they're moving forward, because it's so much easier to get business if we know that they're planning a move in the spring than it is just to randomly, hope somebody calls you. And so the current homeowner strategy is great. The future homeowner strategy is fantastic. So you meet someone, they know they want to buy a home someday. They don't even know where they are in the process. By all means, have them put their name, email address, phone number into your website. We'll bring them over inside of the system, and we're going to automate the campaign for future homeowners. That's going to talk to them about why it's advantageous to buy a home. How they can use the FinLocker Neo Experience app to be able to calculate their home readiness score, their credit, you name it. And then last but not least is the realtors. I hope that you know how to sell the Neo Experience to your realtor partners, but I also understand it can be challenging. So anybody who you want to have the system explain this to, by all means, have the realtor go here, name, email address, phone number. Hopefully you make a QR code if you're doing a realtor presentation that can directly send these people right to this page. Have them put their information in. It's going to go over to the system, and we're going to tell those realtors, this is not apples to apples anymore. Okay. Neo has something different. And here are all of the ways that you can co-brand on various apps to make sure that they understand that when they're talking to their customers, they're not just selling their service, they're selling our service, because they know how many different platforms they can co-brand on. They know how valuable that is for other people. Creating relationships is an absolute skill, and how you do it depends on where someone is in the journey. We consider lead to application its own journey. That's where you're having those initial conversations. That's where you're having the hopes and dreams calls. That's where we're simplifying the application with Simple Nexus. That's us alerting you if an application is not completed. That's us introducing them to the FinLocker app. It's you deciding what the correct campaign is to personalize this buying journey for this human being, and thanking the referral partner for being able to work on this lead. So when you're talking about talking about CRM versus CRM, which is for some odd reason, it's something we still talk about. This is the difference. No one's ever even had that conversation with you before, right? What does lead to app mean? What are the metrics around lead to app? How much does it cost to acquire a lead, and how much does it cost to push them to an app? What are the steps that people are taking to take that lead into application? That's a huge game-changing thing that this system does. Then app to contract, right? So now they've applied, but they're looking for homes. They have any number of places that they can rate shop you, that they can go different places, that they can hear different feedback. Their dad's, barber tells him to call his son for a loan, whatever it is, that's totally nuts. That's going to get this person out of a relationship with you. It would take a crowbar to do that. As long as you are creating value, you're educating the client on all the things that they need to understand. Your communication is omni-channel, meaning you're texting them, you're emailing them, calling them. You're doing all the right things to make sure that that relationship is intact. You're checking in with that agent. You're reminding them of the great job you're doing marketing to them and making sure that they're pre-approved to buy the house. We're going through the FinLocker app. We're proving that NEO value proposition. When that campaign ends, if they're still looking for a house, you have the follow-up campaign that you can use to tack on some more time to stay in front of them. And then once they're ready to go under contract, we are going to stop that campaign they're on and put them into the next phase of that. And the next phase here, as you can see, is going to be contract to close, where curated messaging is going to teach them every nuance that they could ever need to understand about buying a home. Because we not only tell them that the nuts and bolts of lending, we tell them the nuts and bolts of moving. We tell them how they can talk to their kids about moving, how they can prepare their pets for moving, the right way to pack a moving truck, how to organize their move. We're doing so much of that heavy lifting, not only for the realtor, but for the relationship that you have brought to the table. Homebinder and Updater are going to be introduced at that point. We're marketing to that listing agent throughout that process, saying, this is what makes NEO different. This is how we're helping you. This is why your next referral should come to us. That teaches the home buyer, teaches the listing agent. It keeps everybody in the loop. Then we close, that experience.com happens. That's actually in the wrong spot. We talk to them about what they're going to do during their final walkthrough, what closing disclosures are, what they're going to need to bring for closing day. We congratulate them, and then we send that experience.com review. And then opportunities and data come from that point on. As they close and we're congratulating them and asking them for feedback, we're also telling them that this is the beginning of the next phase of our relationship, which is why we're talking to them about the crazy junk mail that they're going to get. When we're telling them how the CSMs are going to show up for them, when we're sending them really good information that's timely for the time of year so that they can keep opening your email, so they can keep that engagement going. Because I have news for you, your open rate post-close is likely atrocious using another system. But this system has spent its entirety of the relationship that you built with this person proving value. So post-close emails get opened. Then it's their birthday, it's their loan anniversary, it's time for their annual review, or we're going to be pinged off data. Meaning if this person gets to the end and let's say in another year, you find out that they're looking around at mortgage rates, you got to ask yourself why. What are they looking for? They're not looking to refinance. What if they're looking to buy another house? Well, you've already promised them through this entire journey that your dedication to them is to always provide the value that we have from building the best technology in the business, that you are supposed to be looking at data. There's honestly nothing worse than when I see somebody's marketing for Sales Boomerang and they've never led out the fact that they're going to look to data for opportunities, and then they just show up and send the message that's like, "Hey Bob, I hope you're doing well. Uh, our technology tells us that you're selling your house. How's about I help?" Okay, that is not how you use data. So if you understand how to curate relationships correctly, then one thing you can absolutely bank on is that this database will pay you and pay you and pay you for the years ahead. When I say omni-channel strategy, what I truly mean is not only are you giving them excellent education in the emails that you send, not only are you sending them text messages that are personalized, they're non-hokey, that don't have a bunch of emojis in them, or that don't sound like a robot. But every single one of your emails has what is known as a call to action, meaning what do we want this person to do next? We want them to understand something. And so we take them back to your website, and all of those 400 and some odd blogs that are over on your website are all hyperlinked to one another. So if somebody wants to understand how to unfreeze their credit, they can go in and they can read through how to unfreeze their credit. They can click on a link to understand how to dispute inaccuracies. They can click on a link to understand credit score variances. Your entire system is linked together so that it all works in tandem to make you really successful. When we're talking about that Neo Experience app, which is, beyond, what we have for you inside Matrix, one of the most important pieces of the puzzle is definitely the Neo Experience app. The Neo Experience app is going to let you essentially have a lead converting machine on their phone. So what can they do from here? They can integrate all of their financial accounts, their bank account, their 401k, all that kind of stuff. So they can actually see all of their finances in one place. If their credit is low, or even if they just want to improve it, you're going to be able to see the credit score, see the monitoring of that, making sure that you're keeping your eye on the credit health. And so that is a fantastic way for them to sort of stay on this path of home readiness. There is no selling of that data. Everything is super safe. They can feel like that is a good place to keep all of this stuff. But obviously, there's a lot of homeownership education in here because the main goal of the system is to push them toward buying a home. If they want to set a budget or a goal for themselves on how they can get from here to being a homeowner, they can set those goals. And what a terrific way for people to be able to go in and say, hey, listen, this month I only saved $200. I was supposed to save $600. And so I need to change this, but I need to be smart about the way I'm budgeting for this if I want to become a homeowner. Obviously, personalized spending plan fits well in hand with the budgeting part. That readiness assessment, super important as well. How do they understand how to use this tool? How is it going to grade them for home readiness? And then we don't have property search right now, guys. That's actually through a company called Home Scout. Some of you may be familiar with Home Scout or Home Scouting, but that is a property search that's actually in there. We are not currently using that. And then start a loan application. This is going to be the most interesting component, right? Because what we are really hoping that we can do is right from the Neo Experience app, because we already have all their accounts and we already have everything. It'd be great if it could push right directly into a Simple Nexus application that can then push over to Encompass. And the nice part about this is this work has already been done for you and it is free for your customer to use. But as you know, if I ask you to pick up your phone right now and I went to page 3 of your apps, guess what you haven't opened? All of the apps on page 3. The reason that happens is we're so overwhelmed with so much stuff happening all the time that we forget that we have these incredible tools on our phone. And so our job at Matrix is to make sure that we're re-engaging these people, that we're educating them on the value of using this app and different opportunities that they have inside. When it comes to relocation, Updater is our current game plan. I don't see us moving from this. And if we do, I will let you know. There are some other opportunities that we have, but Updater is going to make sure that they understand how to move, how they can reserve their moving truck, how they can get insurance for the next place, how to forward their email, how to connect their TV and internet, how to transfer or set up their new utilities, how to make sure that they have a security system, why it's advantageous to do that. I hope that part of their messaging is because it lowers the amount of money you have to pay for your home security system. When you have a home security system, it helps lower your insurance on your house. There's lots of different ways that we can make sure that we're engaging with them to understand why it's so important to get all of these things set up. The home concierge through Homebinder, a lot of different pieces of this platform. This is going to come as they close. The most important thing that we're going to do is we're going to push over all their closing documents into Homebinder. So they have everything from that loan closing right there, all their documentation, everything that they need. They can also keep like their tax records there, anything that you want to dump, that they want to dump into that file is going to be a great place to keep that, because document storage, especially secure document storage, I don't care what you think, that is such a wave of the future. I actually think that's a business in and of itself, is to have like a safe, secure document storage place where if you were going to like say you're going to, send your taxes in, to be able to have all that in one spot, have all your receipts from any of the giving that you've done. I mean, it's really incredible what you can do once you have a significantly safe place to do it. And then maintenance reminders. Some people will probably giggle at that, but I ask you this: when's the last time you changed your air filter? I'll give you time. You don't know. Or maybe you're like super like good at it and you do it like the first day of the quarter. I don't know how you are, but chances are really likely you don't have any idea when the last time you did that was. Making sure that they understand how to right now winterize their sprinklers. Do you know how to do that? Right. So there's all kinds of maintenance that has to happen at a house in order to keep yourself from having to do repairs on the home. And then home improvement. How are they going to build the future? What is going to be important for that house to have? If there's appliance recalls, how to make sure that they're on top of that. If they need someone to provide a service at the house, do you have your list of people there, or can we give them a service provider that will really be good for them? And then honestly, a home inventory. Imagine being able to have an actual place where, let's say your home got broken into, right? Right now, let's say your home got broken into today and you had to make an insurance claim. And you're like, yeah, but I had like 4 TVs and a laptop. Well, how do we know that? Well, because I did. Okay, well, if you had a home inventory that actually listed all of that out and you were pushing that over to your home insurance company, you would have absolute proof that that is what you owned. But it's really going to come down to the peace of mind that people feel from making sure that the investment that they have just made is going to be something that they're going to care for a while. And then if we are going to save them money on anything, it's going to be because we tell them when they need to keep that maintenance up, what home improvements are going to prove the most ROI. So it's a really cool system. If you haven't played with it before, I highly suggest signing in or going through our Homebinder training. And so when you're in this solution, right, imagine you open this up and here's everything that you need. Imagine being able to send all of your mortgage documentation to your CPA or your financial planner. Making sure they're taking care of everything. And the best part about this, of course, is that it can be co-branded. So what a great way to sell it to your real estate agents as a value add for using them as a realtor. The HomeBot platform, I have a lot of opinions on HomeBot, but for the most part, it's a really sexy math equation. But that's okay, because that they won that game. So making sure that we are sending them a report of what their equity is and what their equity can do. If you've used HomeBot for a long time, you know that you'll have people reach out and say, gosh, I didn't realize I had this much equity in my house. Is now a good time to sell? Is it a good time to refinance? Making sure that we are sending that out every month. And that has a really high open rate on it. That's just a huge value add. You can also build out HomeBot to your heart's desire. If you've never looked into HomeBot, I cannot stress enough how important it is to go into the help center to learn how to customize your HomeBot. You can make videos. We have scripting. We have all kinds of things over there to help you build that out. Experience.com, obviously very important as well. We tried to make this really personal. This used to be a very flat sort of email, but we've really made it a lot friendlier. The surveys are really great. They're well worded, and it's going to make sure that you are building up your brand and give us some feedback on getting feedback from everybody in the transaction on how it went. Now, when it comes to those realtors, the Realtor Neo experience is truly something that's very special. One is that you're definitely creating a relationship based on communication, trust, education. You're going in and you're thanking these referrals for you're thanking your realtors for these referrals and checking in with them to see how things are going, but you're not even having to lift a finger. The system is doing that for you. We're also setting expectations. We're saying, hey, here's what's going to happen next, or let me know what I should be doing to support you. Then we have ways that we teach them how they can grow their own business. If you haven't assigned yourself to the weekly Realtor Review, I highly suggest doing so today, as well as making sure that you are on the monthly newsletter. Those weekly communications are truly for people who you are trying to help build their business. And while I understand that the old school way of marketing is to send them rates on Fridays, we are only going to be sending them really good information about how they can build their business. If you haven't read any of these, I highly suggest doing it. When you have a new agent, put them on the new agent campaign. Let us sell Neo in the background for you. If you have an agent who hasn't really gone through and understood what we do at Neo, put them on the Neo Realtor Experience campaign. Let them know the different pieces of technology in which you can co-brand. We are going to remind them about 3 days before someone's birthday, what if this person happens to be in your shared database, when their birthday is going to be. We also remind them of the loan anniversaries. We have tons of social media graphics that they can share. And there are also realtor presentations. So if you get somebody to the point where they really are interested and you don't think you can do this spiel, I assure you that you can, because that is exactly what we created for you and have for you in the Help Center. We want to make sure that we are delivering the Neo ethos. We want to make sure that we're using the CRM as our reminder hub. It is the engine of the car that we are going to use to absolutely race the competition. We want to make sure that the social media connection is centralized as well. Meaning if you are connected with them on social media, you can put those links inside of the CRM so that when you have a conversation that's coming up, you can check in. And it seems like, hey, when you start a conversation with, hey, Megan, this is Kelly from Neo. How are you? I think I remember you were going to take your family in the fall to Disney. Were you guys able to take that trip? And they're like, holy shit, you really do remember stuff. And you're like, yeah, it's on your Facebook page. Making sure that those CSMs deliver on our care commitment, right? And we forecast that care commitment for you. And we also make sure that those CSMs have the tools that they need in order to provide that. Then making sure that your professional sphere is able to co-brand data with you, is able to share different technologies with you. Making sure that we understand the ICPs, and that is truly a way of identifying what journey someone should be on. The ideal customer profile means that you have spent the time to analyze every single customer that you have, and that you have built marketing that is specific to that person. You don't have to do either of those things because we've already done it for you. And then as we build out more and more, we're going to start pushing more data via API. We're going to give you recruiting tools that you can use. There's going to be onboarding tools that are already in there. So if you hire someone at Neo, they're able to tell their entire audience what it is that we do and why it's so special. Then marketing tools via Maxa has been a huge lift for us. Anything that the marketing department creates and designs within Maxa is actually able to be sent directly from the CRM. All you have to do is click on Maxa. That's a great way to do that. And then, as we move forward, the concept is absolute that we want to have a hub for our professional partners to share with us, not only so they can share all this technology, but so that we can be a team in data moving forward. And then the Neo Tech obviously is another huge component to how we're going to deliver the system. We have LOS and POS integration, but I would love to see us have MMI, MBS Highway, Domo, have a regulations and guidelines kind of library and intranet, a scenario desk, an appraisal portal, a customer portal, lots and lots of ways that we can tie this system into all of our systems so that we can have one succinct way to run the business. Data-driven decisioning is our next goal. We are definitely letting ADM sort of grow and mature on its own, but they are right now building out all the API for Sales Boomerang. If you don't know my history with Sales Boomerang, I'm more than happy to tell you that I literally pioneered this platform with a custom CRM for many years. I know this product probably better than I know almost any product on the market. But more than that, I have been an absolute student of the business intelligence that is laid before me. I have A/B tested the life out of the communication strategies that I have built in here. So when we get to Sales Boomerang, we're definitely not going to be, sending emails that make it seem like we're hiding in the bushes, peeking in the window, making sure that the fam's okay. We want to make sure that we are so respectful of the way that we have data and our approach to data. But in this scenario you see in front of you, I want you to imagine that you live in a world like this. So you take someone's application and their credit score is too low. And right now you're like, oh man, that sucks because I thought that was a loan. Meanwhile, we are going to put that person into an environment where they understand how to do everything they need to do in order to get on the path of home readiness. Whether that's looking at their credit score going up inside of FinLocker, whether that is getting really good messaging from Automator that's going to be talking to them about how to dispute inaccuracies or to make changes on their credit report, or all of the different ways that it's advantageous to buy a home. And then when we get the Sales Boomerang alert that says, hey, this credit score is finally ready for you to pull their credit again and get them pre-approved for the house, the really cool part of that is that we don't change the dynamic. It doesn't come out of left field. It just looks like a continuation of the conversation and a continuation of the nurturing that you're doing of that relationship. So even though you didn't really lift a finger, the system has been working on your behalf to bring this person back into your environment when they're going to be ready and qualified to be a homeowner. It probably seems like a lot, and it probably seems like a pipe dream, and I totally understand that. You likely have not worked at a company where something like this has existed before. But the only way that we're able to do this is the way that we work with our partners, meaning that we have to make the other platforms as strong as we are in order to get this done. We need to make sure that we are aligned behind the way that we sell Neo and the Neo experience. We need to hire really brilliant people in the future to help us build. We always, as you well know, take all of your suggestions because we know working collaboratively with all employees creates the best system for the organization. And the reality is we're not afraid to fail. Clearly we're not afraid to fail. We have to fail every single day. It's not easy. No one likes it. I hate it. Yesterday, ADM sent a birthday message 26 times to someone. That was 26 in case you missed that. Now there is happy birthday and there's 26 happy birthdays. How do I look at that? Well, what am I going to do? What am I genuinely going to do about that? How do I change that next time? You have to not be afraid of a challenge, and you're going to be in a challenging situation for the next few months, right? So how do we look at a challenge and turn it on its head and look at it like the opportunity that it is to learn systems, to be able to provide feedback, to be able to really get involved with the way that your business is going to run in 2024? And that should be the 45-minute mark if I've been talking fast enough, and I think I have been, which is going to allow for you to ask any questions that you want to ask. I can take this into the chat window, or I can come off screen, which is probably what I'm going to do, and be able to answer any questions that you would like for me to answer. So you can either take yourself off mute, or you can hop off the call if you have other things that you want to do and you think you've gotten enough from this wonderful training from today. But I'm happy to answer the questions that you have. I mean, Megan, do you think that I just did such a good job that I have left them speechless? I think so too. Well, in order to fill space, I will say this. All of the resources that you would need in order to do all of these things can be found in your help center. And I just want to double check over here so that you know exactly where that is. Likely you've been sent this link 600 or 700 times since you started using this system. But if you don't happen to know where it is, let us show you where it is. Of course, I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to have to go look at it, look for it. Here it is. No, it's going to go to collections. It's okay. I know I could have just gone to the URL, but look how, I mean, that's how fast it took. Everything for Neo Experience is stunningly under Neo Experience. How do I link my bank account? What is the Neo Experience app overview? How do I invite my clients to it? How do I understand what it does? How do I use it? How do I get clients signed up? What's the beginner guide? All the jazz that you could really need there. Oh, I have a question. Stacy said I did a good job. She's really honestly my best cheerleader, I have to be honest. But anytime you want to just do a deeper dive into the things that we're talking about, here's where you find everything. You want to learn how to use HomeBinder? Click on HomeBinder. We got some little things there for you. You'll be able to know how to co-brand it. Don't you love dogs? I love dogs. I don't see why everyone doesn't love dogs. So if you go into HomeBinder, you're going to be able to see how to use it, how to show your real estate agent how to use it. If you want to get someone, you talk to a real estate agent, they're wowed by what you said. Let's go ahead and show you where all of these different presentations are that you can download and that you can curate to your own heart's content. You can change whatever you'd like to about it. I'm not here to tell you you can't. If you look under realtors, you're going to have so many different ways in which you can grow these realtor relationships, not the least of which is the Neo Realtor presentation that you can just come right here and download. And when you do that, when you download it, when you open it, you're going to see that this is such a great way to explain the value proposition of working with Neo. It's an open-ended conversation. It's a beautiful presentation, if I do say so myself. But it's a really interesting and safe way to be able to have these open-ended conversations with your realtor where you're showing them the value proposition. So by all means, if you've not seen this before, please download it today so you can check it out. Well, I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like we're out of questions. And so I'm going to give myself an A++, and I'm going to give Megan an A- because let's be honest, she just gets an A-. I'm going to give Eddie strong B, solid B. So I really appreciate everybody coming today. We always appreciate you. If we can help you, it's support@matrixtechstack.com. We are more than happy to share any of the ideas or answers with you. Yes, Eddie, you get a B. I don't like, if you're going to complain today, Eddie, we're going to give you a demerit too. All right, friends, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you.